Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon just now announcing that he's going to go to a court tomorrow and ask them, the judge, to resentence Erik and Lyle Menendez, who were both convicted of first-degree murder and were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Both brothers have been in prison for 33 years. He's going to request that they now be eligible for parole. And if a judge agrees with that assessment and the parole board agrees with that assessment, those two brothers, Erik and Lyle Menendez, would be immediately released. Matt, just wanted to get your reaction. Not a surprise. We'd pretty much expected this would be what it was.
As surprising as the sun coming up in the morning. This is George Gascon, and this is a high-profile case. He's been doing this over and over again, and I want to point out an irony here, is that when he came into office, he forbid his prosecutors from what are doing BPT lifer hearings. So what happens when a lifer is up for parole? That means a child molester, a rapist, or a murderer. Those are basically 99% of the life prisoners in the state of California. Every DA's office in the state will send a prosecutor with the file to oppose the release if the person if they still pose a danger to the community. As a blanket policy, that man right there who's invoking sexual assault victims forbade his prosecutors from doing that and has done pretty much everything he can to release rapists, child molesters, and murderers.
Let's stick with this case, though. In this case, he says he does not believe that Erik and Lyle Menendez are a danger to society.
Right. Right. So, look, they killed their parents. They killed their parents for money. And taking all that into account, let's say that Jose was every bit the monster, and there are great questions about the truth of that. He said he believed it. Cool. The only reason to kill Kitty Menendez under those circumstances, as David Cohn, who I personally knew before he passed away, that was the prosecutor in the second trial, the way he argued that is the only reason to kill her is to get her out of the way to inherit the money. Under California law, it's important to remember, 100% equals a whole. So you can be motivated 90% by revenge, by the fact that you were sexually abused. If any part of your motive to take the life of another human being is knowing that you will receive financial gain, you've satisfied every element for first-degree murder plus murder for financial gain. And I think a lot of the prosecutors in that office believe this sets a dangerous precedent for all the other people that are serving life in prison, that are all going to come out and want their turn now and be released.
I got to say, Misty, that is the one thing that I'm sort of struck by. You know, we just had two men who begged the U.S. Supreme Court for a stay of execution and were executed nonetheless. Whose own prosecutors were saying, we think he's innocent. We currently have a case that's going on in Texas where, again, the lead detective said he didn't kill his 2-year-old daughter. And these guys, these defendants, couldn't get a break. 2 of them were executed. 1 is still fighting for his life. And yet these 2 brothers somehow have been deemed free and clear?
Yeah, and I think that's, to Matt's point, that's why Gascon is getting ahead of it, because he expects other prosecutors in his office, as he said in his press conference, to come in and say this was not the right result, that there was evidence that they were motivated by finances, that this case they should still serve that life sentence. And you made a great point, because I think we tend to, when we talk to this case, conflate the Menendez brothers. They're 2 different defendants. Conflate the 2 victims and not look at them as individuals. And so those are certain things that you could see coming out when this hearing is ultimately held. So the judge, sounds like they're filing it tomorrow. A judge has to hear it within 30 days or make a determination. So that will be the next step.
Jesse, you and I have long debated, the fact that the premeditated elements of this case. They went to San Diego to buy the shotguns. They discussed this, several days before the murders. And let's keep in mind, these brothers were 18 and 21 at the time of the murders. If the sexual abuse was in fact happening, why didn't they just leave?
It's a great question, and that is why, and this has been upheld by every court, self-defense was not allowed in the second trial. Because even if you assume they were abused, even if they assume they were in fear for their lives, they were not in fear of imminent danger to their lives. Jose and Kitty were unarmed in the den watching TV when they were gunned down with Mossberg shotguns. Now, I have to tell you something. I think it's really interesting that he didn't litigate the case at all. He didn't really mention the new evidence. We talked about this before. The justification is that they've been model prisoners, they've been rehabilitated, and by the way, I gotta say, it was surprising. Not even saying we're recommending they be resentenced to manslaughter. This is murder. But 50 years to life, given their age, we believe there should be parole here. I will tell you, I'm fascinated to see the opposition that he says is in the office, that people are going to come out from his office and say, we disagree with this. Look, I've spoken to a number of people the last month about this case, and everybody is divided about what should happen with these brothers. But if you ask me from a point of law, they wouldn't have been successful. We talked about this, about the habeas motion, getting a new trial, getting the conviction thrown out based on the law, because of this specific law in California to recall a sentence and resentence. That is the reason these brothers are being released in California. It would have not happened in New York. It wouldn't happen in other states.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.